Chapter 1: The Battle for the Broken Stars. Scenario: a desperate space battle. Captain Eliza Stone stood on the bridge of the Resolute, the last remaining capital ship of the 7th Human Expeditionary Fleet, gazing out into the void where an overwhelming alien armada loomed like a wall of death. The Skarnoa Coalition, an alliance of advanced species that span half the known galaxy, had cornered her forces near a small star system. Behind her lay a strategic choke point of hyperlanes, a gateway to several key human colonies. To lose it meant the annihilation of billions. Her fleet was a shadow of its former self. Only 5 cruisers and 2 frigates remained against the endless waves of alien warships, each one bristling with technology that far outclassed anything humanity had developed. Plasma shields shimmered around the Skarnoan vessels, while their massive particle cannons glowed with the blue light of death. "Captain, enemy forces closing in," said Lieutenant Harlan, his voice tight with dread. "We can't take them head-on." "No," Eliza replied, her jaw clenched in determination, "but we can make them bleed." The Resolute veered into the asteroid belt that filled the region, its massive thrusters flaring as it weaved through the debris field. Captain Stone knew the Skarnoa, for all their advanced tech, lacked one key trait: improvisation. They fought by the numbers, with overwhelming force and precision. But they never adapted quickly enough to the chaos that humans thrived on. "Deploy the minefields between the asteroids," Eliza ordered. "Keep the signal signatures low. I want them thinking it's just junk." The remaining ships scattered, hiding within the rocks and debris. Human engineers scrambled to modify any surviving missiles into makeshift proximity mines, detonating on any contact with the enemy. The fleet activated the wreckage of old vessels to create decoys, giving the Skarnoa sensor ghosts in a sea of chaos. As the first wave of the enemy fleet entered the asteroid field, their shields glinting like predatory eyes, the humans struck. Mines ignited in a chain reaction, tearing apart Skarnoan frigates as they darted between asteroids. Laser turrets hidden within shattered debris came alive, scoring hit after hit on enemy hulls. The precision of the aliens was their undoing. They were not prepared for the brutal, unpredictable storm of debris that the humans turned into a living weapon. "Engage the second wave," Eliza barked, her eyes gleaming with defiance. The human ships darted out of cover, battering the confused enemy with concentrated fire before vanishing back into the asteroid field. The battle became a game of cat and mouse, with humans refusing to give a straight fight. Skarnoan ships crashed into debris, swarmed by missiles from hidden positions. Alien captains screamed in frustration as their superior forces were whittled down by an enemy that shouldn't have been able to resist for more than a few minutes. For hours, the human fleet danced among the stars, outmaneuvering and outthinking the vastly superior force. And by the end of the day, though many of their ships lay in ruin, they had broken the Skarnoan advance, forcing the alien coalition to retreat to reorganize. Captain Stone leaned back in her seat, exhausted but triumphant. "They may have more guns," she whispered, "but we've got something they'll never understand." Chapter 2: The Sands of Jareth 4. Scenario: a ground war on a hostile planet. Corporal Marcus Drake wiped the sweat from his brow, his combat visor fogging from the unbearable heat. Jareth 4 was a dust bowl of a planet, with searing temperatures and hostile alien wildlife, a place where nothing should survive. But here they were, a contingent of the 9th Marine Battalion, holding out against the looming destruction from the Vorik, one of the fiercest warriors in the coalition. "They've got walkers inbound," Sergeant Elena Torres growled as she peered through her binoculars. In the distance, the towering war machines of the Vorik lumbered through the dunes, their plasma cannons firing at everything that moved. Drake knew the Vorik was stronger, faster, and better equipped. Their exoskeleton armor was impervious to most human rounds, and their relentless charge had broken many defenses across the galaxy. But here, in the uninhabitable wasteland, humanity found a way. "We're outgunned," Corporal Torres said. "But they don't know the terrain like we do." The Marines had spent weeks adapting, improvising. The Vorik, with all their tech, weren't used to fighting in such extreme heat or with so little breathable air. The humans, on the other hand, had already set up camouflage bunkers, lined the sand with hidden trenches, and used drones to lure the enemy into traps. "Remember what we drilled?" Drake called out to his team. "We bait them in, we split them up, and we hit them where it hurts. The Vorik walkers lumbered closer, their massive legs sinking into the shifting sands. As the first wave approached, the ground beneath them exploded, remote charges planted days before detonated, sending shockwaves through the sand and flipping the massive walkers on their backs. Now, Drake ordered. The Marines surged out of cover, darting between the dunes. Using scavenged Vorik tech, they hacked into enemy communications and sent false signals. Vorik squads were sent chasing ghost enemies while the real attack came from unexpected angles. Human engineers had jury-rigged crude EMP devices from Vorik salvage, frying the circuits of their walker suits. One by one, the towering machines fell, their pilots scrambling in confusion as Marines with heavy rifles fired into vulnerable joints and gaps. The Vorik were stronger, but the heat, the chaos, and the sand were all allies of the humans. It was a brutal, dirty fight, but as the sun set behind the endless dunes, the battlefield was littered with Vorik corpses and the wrecks of their walkers. Drake collapsed into the sand, his chest heaving. Never underestimate what we can do with a few scraps and a lot of grit. Chapter 3: Sabotage Among the Stars. Scenario: a covert infiltration. Agent Jade Serrano crept through the ventilation shafts of the Scarnoan capital ship, her suit blending seamlessly into the dark metal surroundings. The Xantari, the pride of the Scarnoan fleet, housed a weapon capable of obliterating entire star systems in a single shot. Her mission? Disable it before it could be fired at the Sol system. "You're close," came a voice over her comms, barely audible against the hum of the ship. "The core room is right below you." Jade's heart raced. She was deep within enemy territory, surrounded by alien soldiers with advanced sensor systems and bio-drones. But there was one thing the Scarnoa could never replicate: human stealth and cunning. The Scarnoa relied on automated defenses, complex encryption systems, and AI-driven security drones. But Jade's team had spent weeks studying Scarnoan technology, finding weak points. Using a carefully modified Scarnoan neural interface, she bypassed the ship's central AI, feeding it a series of false inputs. To the ship's sensors, she was invisible. With practiced efficiency, Jade dropped into the core room. The massive weapon hummed with barely contained energy. There were no buttons, no obvious controls, just streams of alien biocode running through organic conduits. Jade grinned. "Too advanced for your own good." She pulled out a series of nanobots, human-made, crude by comparison to the sleek Scarnoan systems, but beautifully unpredictable. She released them into the ship's bioconduits, watching as they began to chew through the alien code, scrambling it into nonsense. Alarms blared throughout the ship as the weapons systems malfunctioned. Security drones raced into the core room, but by the time they arrived, Jade was already gone, a ghost in the machinery. As she slipped into an escape pod and blasted away from the Xantari, the weapons reactor overloaded, causing a chain reaction that ripped the flagship apart. "Mission accomplished," she whispered, her eyes gleaming with victory. Never underestimate a human with a mission. Epilogue: Humanity, unbreakable. From the depths of space to the burning sands of alien worlds, humanity fought with an unmatched ferocity, always one step ahead of extinction. The galaxy may have thought it could crush them with sheer force and superior technology, but they had forgotten one thing: humanity wasn't just fighting for survival. They were fighting for the future, for the unquenchable spark that set them apart. And in that spark, they found victory.